The hum of Station Vega 12 never truly ceased. It pulsed through metal walls and recycled air like a heartbeat, reminding everyone on board that the vast emptiness outside was always waiting. Lieutenant Aaron Vale leaned against the hydroponics lab console, staring at the nutrient yield reports scrolling across the holo display. Another discrepancy: 12 protein packs gone, water levels down by 0.6%, and 2 clusters of engineered fruit missing from the racks. He frowned. "Third time this week," he muttered, rubbing a tired hand over his stubble. "Who the hell keeps taking my supplies?" Behind him, rows of bioluminescent plants swayed gently under ultraviolet light, casting soft green ripples over the room's metal walls. Hydroponic Bay 3 was his kingdom, his pride, his punishment, and his quiet refuge. Punishment, because no one wanted hydroponics duty. The other officers called it the Garden of Ghosts. The Vega 12 station sat on the edge of Zerani space, orbiting a gray, half-terraformed moon once belonging to the now-broken alien civilization. After the human-Zerani war ended, Vega 12 became a symbol of peace. Part embassy, part supply base, part graveyard. Aaron had been stationed here for 3 years, long enough to forget what fresh air smelled like, long enough to notice when something or someone was stealing his rations. He scrolled through the surveillance feeds. Cameras showed the usual late-night routine: engineers working double shifts, the mechanical drones whirring through maintenance cycles, a few bored security guards half asleep at their posts. Then he saw it again. At 2:17 station time, a shadow flickered across Bay 3's outer corridor, small, quick, slipping between camera angles like it knew where to hide. Aaron leaned closer. The figure paused near a vent, a flash of movement: thin arms, small frame, and something faintly luminous aglow in the hair or skin, and then it was gone. He rewound the feed, slowed it. Enhanced contrast, a girl, maybe 12 or 13 by human standards. Her skin had a blue-gray tint, faintly translucent, veins shimmering with silvery light. A Zerani child. Aaron sat back, exhaling. Of course. Damn it. Zerani refugees were allowed on the station's lower decks barely. The humans called it the Rust Zone, a neglected section where gravity plating flickered and light panels died one by one. They said the aliens should be grateful to have shelter at all, but Aaron had seen the truth. He'd walked down there once. The air smelled of rust and stale coolant, the walls sweating condensation. The children didn't play, they just stared, their eyes too bright, their faces too thin. He hadn't gone back since. It was easier not to think about it. Until now. "Lieutenant Vale," a voice crackled through his comm. It was Sergeant Dima, head of night security. "You still up? Always. What's the word?" "Nothing on sensors, but supplies been missing stuff again. Command wants us to install trip sensors on every bay door." "Waste of time," Aaron said. "Whoever's doing it knows our patterns. Cameras don't catch them. Motion detectors don't trigger. Then it's an inside job," Dima said darkly. Aaron hesitated. "Or someone who isn't supposed to be inside at all." There was a pause. "You think it's one of the aliens?" Aaron didn't answer right away. The term aliens still stung. The Zerani weren't monsters they'd just lost. Their world poisoned, their cities glassed by orbital bombardment. "Could be," he said finally. "But I'll handle it. Don't raise an alarm yet," Dima grunted. "Your call, Lieutenant. Just don't get sentimental about it. Command's been looking for a reason to cut refugee rations again." "Yeah," Aaron said flatly. "I noticed." Hours later, the lights dimmed to night cycle mode, bathing the lab in soft blue gloom. Aaron stayed. He had a bottle of synth coffee cooling on the counter and his hand resting near his pulse pistol. Not out of fear, but protocol. He sat quietly, listening to the endless hum of circulation fans and the faint drip of condensation from the nutrient tanks. Time slowed. Then dash click. A vent cover above the far wall shifted. Aaron's hand tensed. He watched as a small figure eased through the opening, bare feet landing silently on the floor. She was smaller than he'd expected, maybe just past childhood, wrapped in tattered cloth that shimmered faintly under the lab lights. Her skin glowed softly in the dark, a living echo of the bioluminescent flora around her. She crept toward the storage cabinet, every motion fluid and silent. When she reached for the latch, her hand trembled. She opened it and quickly gathered a few nutrient packs into a pouch. That's when Aaron moved her stop. His voice was low but sharp, cutting through the quiet. The girl froze. Her head snapped up, eyes wide and bright like twin moons. For a heartbeat, she didn't move. Then she turned, ready to bolt. Aaron raised his hand, palm open. "Don't run." Her breathing quickened. The glow of her skin pulsed with it, faint waves of light radiating up her neck and face. Her lips parted, revealing small, sharp teeth. "Please," she whispered. Her voice had a musical accent, syllables bending like liquid. "I didn't mean harm. I know what you're doing," Aaron said gently. "You've been taking food." Her chin lifted, defiant even through the fear. "You humans have more than enough." "We have none." Aaron lowered his pistol. "If you need food, there's a request channel. Refugee services. They don't listen." Her voice cracked, and something in it made him pause. "They say we're not citizens, that we don't count. My mother, she's sick. The air down below burns her lungs." Aaron hesitated. The way she said it, it wasn't a plea for pity. It was a statement of fact. "What's your name?" he asked. She blinked, uncertain if she should answer. "Leary, Leary," he repeated softly. "You've been leaving these behind, haven't you?" He reached into his pocket and showed her a small flower petal, thin as silk and glowing faintly blue. She looked startled. "You kept them. They're hard to miss. Why leave them?" She hesitated, eyes downcast. A Zorani never takes without giving something back, even if it's small, even if it's all we have. Aaron stood in silence, the hum of the lab filling the gap between them. Finally, he sighed. "You shouldn't be up here. If the others catch you, they'll send me away," she finished. "I know." He stepped forward slowly, crouching to her level. "You said your mother's sick." Leary nodded. "She coughs until she bleeds. Others hide her so she won't be taken by the medics. They don't treat Zorani, they just study them." Aaron felt a chill crawl up his neck. He'd heard rumors about what medical research meant on Vega 12. He wanted to say she was wrong, but he wasn't sure she was. He reached for one of the ration boxes and held it out. "Take it, all of it." Her eyes widened. "You'd let me." "Tonight," he said. "But tomorrow don't come through the vents. Come to me directly." Leary shook her head. "They'll see me. They'll take me away. I'll make sure they don't," Aaron said. "You have my word." For a moment, she stared at him, suspicion and hope warring in her luminous eyes. Then she took the box, clutching it close. Before slipping back into the vent, she said softly, "Thank you, human." "Aaron," he corrected gently. She smiled faintly. "Thank you, Aaron." Then she was gone like a ghost swallowed by the humming dark. Aaron stood there for a long time, listening to the metal panels creak as the air system cycled. He looked down at the empty shelf, then at the faint blue glow left behind a single petal fluttering on the floor. He picked it up, turning it over between his fingers. It pulsed faintly with residual warmth. The station felt colder than ever. Tomorrow, he decided, he'd find out how deep Vega 12's secrets really went. The next morning came slowly on Station Vega 12. Artificial dawn seeped through the bulkhead's soft gold light projected by the station's central clock, imitating sunrise for the benefit of human circadian rhythms. But it fooled no one. Vega 12 had no sun, only the constant drift of nearby gas clouds and the pale reflection of the dead moon below. Lieutenant Aaron Vale hadn't slept. He sat in his quarters staring at the small blue petal lying on his desk. Under the warm light, its bioluminescence shimmered faintly, pulsing as though alive. He'd run a scan on it out of curiosity. The composition was organic but alien, biocrystals structured like carbon snowflakes, capable of storing trace radiation and refracting it as light. A Zorani flower, his database had said, native to pre-war forests, nearly extinct. He wondered how a starving girl on the lowest decks still found them. A message blinked on his holo display. Hydroponic supply report. Minor deficit logged. Inquiry pending from Command. He sighed. Command would demand another investigation, and sooner or later, someone else would notice the pattern. He couldn't let that happen. By midday, Vega 12's corridors were alive with routine chaos. Human technicians barked orders at drones. Soldiers marched between decks, and scattered groups of Zorani refugees carried scrap metal or water filters to their quarters below. Aaron moved through it all in silence. His uniform drew glances not out of respect, but resentment. To the humans, he was a sympathizer. To the Zerani, he was another oppressor in silver armor. He wasn't sure which was worse. When he reached the hydroponics lab again, the air felt thicker, humid from the plant respirators. The scent of synthetic greenery wrapped around him. He half expected to see Leary already waiting, but the room was still. Maybe she hadn't believed him. Maybe she thought it was a trick. He paced for a while, checked the nutrient levels, just too busy his hands, then froze at a faint clang from above. The vent grill trembled once, then a small hand appeared. Hesitating before pushing it open, she slipped through cautiously this time. The same glowing hair, the same fragile posture, but now she looked even thinner, shadows under her eyes deep as bruises. "You came," Aaron said quietly. Leary clutched the wall for balance. "I thought, you might not mean it." He smiled faintly. "You're brave for coming anyway." Her gaze flicked toward the door. "You said you'd make sure no one saw." "I rerouted the motion sensors," he said. "For now, this room's off-grid. You risk much for a stranger." "I've done worse," he said. But his voice softened. "You're not a stranger anymore." She looked unsure what to say to that. The glowing strands of her hair shimmered faintly, changing hue with her emotion, a trait Aaron had only read about in field manuals. The Zerani were empathic bioluminescence. Their skin and hair reacted to feelings like mood rings made of light. He gestured to a table. "Sit, you look half-starved." Leary obeyed reluctantly. He brought over a thermoplastic container of warm food, synth grain stew, protein gel, and a cube of vitamin bread. Nothing fancy, but compared to what the refugees got below, it was a feast. She stared at it like she didn't believe it was real. Then, slowly, she ate careful, small bites, never looking up. When she finished, she wiped her mouth on her sleeve and said, "You shouldn't have done that. If the guards find out, I'll deal with it." She studied him then, really looked at him. "Why do you care?" The question hung between them. Aaron wasn't sure of the answer himself. Maybe guilt, maybe curiosity, maybe because when she looked at him, he saw a reminder of the war everyone pretended was over. After a moment, he asked, "Tell me about your mother." Leary's expression dimmed. Her skin's glow faded. "Her name is Nara. She was a healer before the war. She grew the flowers that fed the light birds." "The flowers like this?" He gestured to the petal still pinned on his sleeve. "Yes," she smiled faintly. "They grow in the dark, drinking radiation and giving back clean air. We used to say they sang to the stars." Her voice grew smaller. "But there are no stars below deck." Aaron leaned against the console, arms folded. "You said she's sick." "She breathes wrong," Leary whispered. "Her skin burns when she sleeps. The air units leak green mist sometimes. The humans sealed the upper vents so the filters don't reach us." He frowned. "That's not supposed to happen. The filtration systems integrated same air for every deck." She met his eyes. "Not anymore." He believed her. Vega 12's lower levels were practically forgotten, rusted, unregistered, half abandoned. If the air scrubbers had failed down there, no one would have noticed until the bodies piled up, and command would cover it up. "Can you take me there?" Aaron asked quietly. Leary stiffened. "You'd go below. Someone should see what's really happening. It's dangerous," she said. "The air, the guards, the ones who hate us. I've been in worse places." She stared at him for a long time, as though weighing something deeper than words. Finally, she nodded once. "Tonight, when the lights dim, I will come for you." Then she stood, swift and silent, and moved toward the vent. "Leary," Aaron said before she disappeared. She turned. "If anyone catches you before then, use my name. Say Lieutenant Vale told you to be here." Her head tilted slightly. "A human name carries weight, doesn't it?" "Sometimes," he admitted. "Use it while it still does." She smiled, small and sad. "Then may your name protect me." And she was gone again into the dark veins of the station. That evening, the alarms sounded 3 times across Vega 12. Routine drills, supposedly. But the rumor spreading through the ranks was less routine. A missing med drone, unauthorized movements detected near the lower decks, and whispers that the refugees were planning something. Aaron kept his head down through the noise, hands folded behind his back as he stood before the security chief's terminal. Sergeant Dima looked up from a stack of reports. You hear about the trouble below? Some of those blueskins are getting restless. I heard, Aaron said evenly. They say one of them's been sneaking topside. A thief might be working with smugglers. Aaron felt his pulse skip, but kept his face still. You have a description? Small one. Female. Glows a bit. He forced a neutral shrug. Sounds like every Zorani I've ever met. Dima chuckled. Fair. Still, if you see her, don't play nice this time. Command's losing patience. They want the station secure. You know what that means, Aaron did. It meant a sweep armed patrols, thermal scans, purge orders. The kind of security that left the lower decks silent for days afterward. He left the office without another word. By the time he returned to hydroponics, the artificial lights were dimming again. Shifting to night cycle blue, he waited at 2 o'clock. The vent above him slid open, Leary's face appeared, pale in the faint glow. Are you ready? She whispered. Aaron nodded, tucking a small respirator mask into his belt. Lead the way. She dropped down soundlessly and beckoned. Together, they crossed the silent corridors, moving through unlit maintenance shafts and narrow ladders that twisted downward. Into the underbelly of Vega-12. The air grew colder, heavier, tinged with metallic rot. Lights flickered less and less until there were none. Just the faint radiance from Leary's hair guiding their way. They passed signs written in both languages, English and Zorani, half-peeled, rusted over. Authorized personnel only. Biohazard containment. Do not enter. Containment. Aaron murmured. They told us these decks were decommissioned after the war. Leary glanced back at him, her face grim. They told us they were safe. The corridor opened into a vast, dark chamber lit only by her glow and the pulsing lights of broken machinery. Aaron saw shapes, makeshift shelters built from cargo crates, rags hanging as curtains, figures huddled together in the shadows. Zorani refugees, silent and watching. Their eyes glowed faintly in the dark, hundreds of tiny blue lights, like stars in a forgotten sky. Leary moved through them with quiet familiarity. This way, she whispered. When they reached a corner alcove, she knelt beside a pile of blankets. Beneath them lay a woman, her skin dull and cracked, her breathing shallow and uneven. Mother, Leary said softly, touching her arm. I brought someone. The woman opened, her eyes faded silver, once bright. A human. She rasped. Aaron knelt. Lieutenant Aaron Vale, Vega-12 Operations. She smiled faintly. A human with a name, not a number. That's rare. He swallowed. I came to help. Her chest hitched with a weak laugh. Then help them, she said, eyes drifting toward the huddled refugees beyond. Help all of them. The air here kills us slowly, Lieutenant, but it's the silence from above that kills faster. Her breathing faltered. Leary pressed her small hand to her mother's cheek, panic flickering across her glowing skin. Aaron activated his wristband, scanning her vitals. The readings flickered: red radiation exposure, xenotoxin saturation, oxygen deficiency. He cursed under his breath. The scrubbers down here are dead. No one's maintained them in years. We told them, Leary whispered. They stopped listening. He looked up at the ceiling, jaw clenched. There's a purifier in the med bay above. It can neutralize airborne toxins if we can get it here. Leary's eyes widened. They'll never give it to us. Then we'll take it, he said. She stared at him, torn between fear and hope. You'd steal from your own? They stopped being my own a long time ago, Aaron said quietly. And for the first time, Leary believed him. The next 2 days passed in silence and smoke. Station Vega-12's atmosphere processors were running loud again, a deep, constant growl that rattled through the walls. The engineers said it was routine maintenance, but Aaron knew better. He could feel the difference in the air, heavier, drier, tinged with metallic tang. Something was happening below. He'd filed a report, a vague, cautious one that mentioned irregularities in air filtration across subdecks, but omitted any mention of the Zorani. If command ever found out he'd been down there, walking through the refugee sectors, his career would be finished before the next oxygen cycle. He was already halfway there anyway. The last few nights, Aaron barely slept. He replayed Leary's words over and over. The air burns her lungs, and the memory of her mother, Nara's dim glow fading under that thin blanket. haunted him worse than any battlefield ghost. He had seen death before, but not like that. Not slow, not deliberate, not institutional. The station was killing them, and no one cared. By the third night, Aaron made his choice. He bypassed security patrols using a maintenance access pass, one he shouldn't technically have kept after his last transfer. His heart pounded as he slipped past the checkpoint toward the med bay. Mission: steal the purifier core. Objective: save Nara. Risk: everything. It wasn't the first time he'd broken regulations, but it was the first time he'd done it for the right reason. The med bay sat at the heart of the upper decks, sterile and white, humming with quiet machinery. Rows of pods glowed soft blue. Inside, humans lay in suspended sleep, engineers recovering from radiation burns, soldiers with prosthetic grafts, officers who'd overindulged in neural stimulants. None of them would miss one purifier core. Aaron moved quickly, overriding the first security panel with his officer code. The doors slid open with a hiss, revealing shelves of sealed devices. He located the target, Atmosec 7xO purifier, cylindrical, portable, capable of detoxifying up to 100 cubic meters of atmosphere. He disconnected it carefully, sealing the power socket to avoid alarms. The core thrummed softly in his hands, faint blue light swirling within like trapped starlight. Then a voice behind him, Lieutenant Vale. He froze. Sergeant Dima stood in the doorway, eyes narrowed. You want to tell me why you're removing restricted tech from med storage at 0200? Aaron turned slowly. Maintenance calibration. Biosystems requested a field test. Field test. Dima's tone sharpened. In which field? There's no field below Deck 4, unless you mean the refugee pit. The tension thickened between them. Aaron's pulse raced, but he didn't move. You've been acting strange lately, Dima said. Skipping shifts, disabling cameras in hydroponics. And now this. Aaron said nothing. Dima stepped closer, hand hovering near his sidearm. If you're hiding something, Vale, I'll find it. And when I do, you'll wish command handled you instead of me. Aaron didn't blink. You done? Dima sneered. Not yet. He leaned in close. You think those blueskins appreciate your kindness? They'll slit your throat for a ration bar. Something snapped in Aaron then, the same quiet anger that had been simmering for months. They wouldn't need to, he said coldly. If we hadn't taken their world first. For a heartbeat, neither man moved. Then Dima scowled and turned away. Watch yourself, Lieutenant. Empathy's a defect around here. When he was gone, Aaron exhaled shakily, gripping the purifier tighter. His reflection in the medbay glass looked alien, tired eyes, gray underlight. A man who no longer recognized his uniform. He left through a maintenance shaft instead of the corridor. Sealing the hatch behind him, he met Leary to levels down, near the waste recycler ducts. She'd been waiting, hood drawn over her glowing hair, eyes anxious and alert. You got it, she whispered. He nodded, handing her the purifier. Let's move before the night patrol cycles back. They descended through narrow ladders and rusted corridors, passing signs long covered in grime. The hum of the main decks faded into silence. As they reached the lower zones, the stench hit him again, the same sickly blend of metal decay, damp heat, and something sweet and rotten underneath. His lungs tightened, and he could feel the faint chemical bite at the back of his throat. The air was poisoned. Lyra moved fast through the shadows, glancing over her shoulder every few steps. This way. Stay close. They passed clusters of sleeping figures. Zerani families huddled in makeshift shelters of cloth and scrap metal. Some stirred at the sound of footsteps, others just coughed weakly in their sleep. The glow of their bodies was dim, flickering like dying lanterns. Aaron's stomach turned. He had served on Vega 12 for years, and he had never known this existed beneath him. How long has it been like this? He whispered. Since the war ended, Leary said quietly. When the humans came, they said we'd share the air, but they sealed the filters to contain contamination. We breathe the waste now. Aaron gritted his teeth. That's not containment. That's neglect. She didn't answer. She didn't have to. When they reached her shelter, Nara was still alive. Barely. Her breathing was shallow, her skin more gray than blue. The glow had nearly faded from her veins. Mother, Leary whispered. We brought something to help. Aaron knelt beside her, activating the purifier. It hummed to life, releasing a soft ripple of blue vapor that diffused through the air. Within minutes, the metallic tang began to fade. The air grew lighter, cleaner. Nara stirred, coughing weakly, but her breathing steadied. Leary's eyes filled with tears, faintly luminous in the dimness. "It's working," Aaron nodded, relief washing through him. "It'll need time, but it'll neutralize the toxins in this section. You'll need to keep it powered." Leary touched his arm. "You did this. You helped us." He met her gaze. "I did what anyone should have." She shook her head slowly. "No, humans don't come down here. They don't see us." He looked away. "They will." But before he could say more, a voice echoed down the corridor, faint, mechanical, and cold. "Unauthorized device activation detected in Subdeck 9. Security response initiated." Leary froze. Aaron cursed softly. "Damn it. The purifier's signal must have pinged the network. Can you stop it?" "Not from here." He turned toward the corridor, checking the charge on his pistol. "We need to move. Now." Leary looked back at her mother. "I can't leave her." "Then we stay and fight," Aaron said. "But if they find us, they'll take the purifier, and both of you." Nara's voice rasped softly. "Go, both of you. Save yourselves." Leary's eyes brimmed with tears. "No." Aaron laid a hand on her shoulder. "She's right. If they capture us, it's over. But if we can get to the control room, I can mask this section from sensors." The sound of boots echoed faintly through the metal, security patrols moving closer. Leary's jaw trembled. Then she nodded once. "Okay, show me the way." They slipped into the side tunnels, the purifier's hum fading behind them. The corridor lights flickered as the system rerouted power. Somewhere above, the intercom crackled, security sweep authorized. Subdeck 9 lockdown in effect. Aaron's breath came hard as they ran, the metal underfoot vibrating with the thud of approaching soldiers. He glanced at Leary beside him, small, fast, glowing faintly even in panic, and realized what he was doing. He was no longer saving her. He was with her. They reached a junction that split into 3 tunnels. Aaron paused, scanning the map on his wristband. The nearest maintenance hub was 30 meters west, but the footsteps were closer. "Go," he said. "This way." They ducked through a narrow vent shaft just as light flooded the corridor behind them. Voices shouted orders, "Search every compartment." "The thief's below." Leary looked at him, fear wide in her eyes. "They're hunting you now too." He managed a grim smile. "I figured that might happen." They crawled through the vent in silence, emerging in a maintenance room filled with old conduits and dying lights. Aaron hacked into the system console, fingers moving fast. Come on." He rerouted the purifier's energy signature, masking it under a waste incinerator's ID. The console beeped. Signal erased. He slumped against the wall, exhaling. "There, they'll think it was a glitch." Leary stared at him like he'd performed a miracle. "You saved us again." He shook his head. "Not yet. If Dima suspects anything, he'll send drones next. We'll need a new plan." "What will you do?" "Whatever it takes," he said. She looked at him for a long time, then reached into her pouch and pulled out another Zerani flower petal, glowing brighter than the others. She pressed it into his palm. "For luck," she said softly, "and for choosing to see us." He stared at it, the tiny light reflecting in his tired eyes. Above them, the alarms finally fell silent, but in the hush that followed, Aaron realized the silence felt heavier than before, because now there was no going back. The alarm never truly stopped. It only changed tones, from sirens to whispers, from flashing lights to silent suspicion. By the next station day, Vegatwell felt different. The air had weight. The corridors hummed with paranoia. Everywhere Aaron went, he felt eyes on him, human officers glancing his way, whispers breaking off as he passed. His name wasn't on any reports yet, but he knew it would be. The moment someone realized a purifier was missing, Command would connect the dots, and Dima would be the first to point a finger. Aaron sat alone in his quarters, staring at the flower petal Leary had given him. It lay on the desk, glowing faintly in the dark, pulsing with life. He'd seen this light before on battlefields, under bombed skies, in the eyes of the few Zerani who had survived the burning of their world. A fragile kind of defiance. His console chimed. A message from command flashed on screen. Subject: unauthorized power signatures detected. Order: investigate subdeck 9. Possible refugee sabotage. Lead officer: Sergeant Dima. Assistant: Lieutenant Aaron. Vali stared at the screen. His throat went dry. They want me to help them find myself. The walk to command center felt longer than usual. The station's artificial gravity hummed unevenly under his boots, a constant low vibration. Outside the viewport, the dead moon loomed gray and lifeless, a reminder of what humans had taken. Inside, Vega 12 was no different, life sustained by machines, compassion suffocated by protocol. Dima greeted him with a cold smile. Good timing, Lieutenant. We've got a lead on our thief. Aaron kept his tone neutral. You're sure it's not just another systems glitch? Not this time, Dima said, tossing a datapad onto the console. We tracked an air filtration anomaly to a sealed maintenance zone. Someone bypassed the lock codes with high-level clearance. Aaron's pulse quickened. Meaning one of ours helped them. Dima leaned closer, eyes sharp. And command wants an example made. Aaron clenched his jaw. If it's sabotage, we should confirm before we what? Dima snapped. Show mercy. These things aren't citizens. They're parasites. You feed them, they take your hand next. Aaron felt a flash of heat rise behind his ribs. They're people, Dima sneered. Spare me your conscience, Vale. We're soldiers, not saints. Report to Deck 9 and 10. Bring a weapon. He didn't. When he left command, Aaron went straight to hydroponics. The plants swayed under dim light as he entered a false calm and a place that had once been peace for him. He grabbed his field pack, loaded a small medkit, and slung it over his shoulder. He didn't plan to come back. The purifier would hold for another few hours, maybe longer. But once the security sweep began, everything below would be burned out literally. Vega 12's lockdown protocols used plasma sterilizers to sanitize contaminated zones. They would kill everyone below deck. He couldn't let that happen. Leary was waiting for him near the access vent, her glow dim with worry. You came, she whispered. I said I would. They know. He nodded grimly. They're sending soldiers. They'll call it a containment procedure. You need to get everyone out. Her small hands clenched. There's nowhere to go. He looked at her for a long moment. Then he said, there might be. He opened his wrist console, pulling up a schematic of Vega 12's lower decks. See this conduit? It leads to the old waste ejector shafts. They're sealed, but I can open one manually. It'll jettison you toward the moon's surface. There's atmosphere pockets down there. Ruins some of your people might have survived. Leary stared at him, horrified. You want us to jump into space? You'll have escape pods, he said quickly. Old mining capsules, they're crude, but they'll hold. It's a chance. She hesitated. And you? I'll stay. Her voice broke. They'll kill you? He forced a small smile. Probably, but I can delay them long enough for you to escape. No. Her glow brightened, flaring like panic. You can come with us. Aaron shook his head. If I leave, they'll hunt us all. If I stay, I can make them look the other way. Tell them it was me, alone. Tears welled in her eyes, refracting light into tiny, trembling stars. Why would you do that? He took a slow breath. Because once, a long time ago, I believed we were the good ones. That humans built peace out of justice. But that was a lie. You showed me that. Leary reached for his hand, her skin cool and faintly glowing against his rough palm. If you die, they'll forget you. He squeezed her hand gently. Then remember me for them. They worked fast. Aaron led her through the maintenance tunnels, rerouting circuits, cutting through sealed bulkheads. He pried open the old waste conduit, a massive cylinder of reinforced steel leading into blackness. Inside the chamber, for ancient mining pods sat dormant, covered in dust. Leary stared at them like relics of another age. They'll still launch? She asked. They're junk, Aaron admitted. But they were built for vacuum mining, stronger than they look. He activated the console, fingers flying over the old code. Systems hummed to life, lights flickering one by one. The air filled with the scent of ozone and dust. You'll have enough oxygen for 2 hours, he said. After that, pray the moon's air isn't as dead as it looks. Leary turned to him, tears shimmering again. What will you tell them? The truth, he said. That I helped you. That I stole the purifier. That I was the traitor they wanted. She shook her head. No, that's not truth. That's sacrifice. He smiled faintly. Sometimes they're the same thing. The first rumble of boots echoed above them, distant, but growing louder. The sweep had begun. Leary moved to the first pod, checking the seals. Aaron helped her secure the latch, then turned to the control panel. Once you're inside, I'll override the launch sequence. You'll be gone before they get here. She hesitated. If we make it, if Mother lives, what do we do then? Live, Aaron said simply. Grow something again. Flowers, maybe, she smiled weakly. You sound like her. I'll take that as a compliment. Then she stepped into the pod, small hands trembling as the hatch sealed around her. Through the glass, her glowing eyes met his one last time. Goodbye, Aaron. Goodbye, Leary. He pressed the button. The pod rumbled, then shot down the shaft with a roar of pressure and light. The sound faded quickly, swallowed by the station's metal lungs. He stood there for a long time, staring at the empty conduit. Then he turned and raised his hands as the door behind him burst open. Lieutenant Vale, Dima's voice thundered. Step away from the console. Aaron didn't move. You're too late, he said quietly. Dima's eyes darted to the launch readouts. What did you do? I saved someone, Aaron said. The sergeant's face twisted in fury. You betrayed your own kind. Aaron met his gaze. No, I finally remembered what kind we were supposed to be. Dima drew his weapon. You'll die for this, Aaron almost smiled. I already did. The blast filled the room with light. No official report was ever released. Command sealed Deck 9 permanently, citing structural damage and radiation hazard. The refugees were declared missing, presumed dead. Aaron Vale was recorded as deceased in the line of duty during a containment breach. But sometimes, on clear nights, the orbital sensors over Vega's moon caught faint blue lights flickering across the gray surface. Moving, growing dot, and on Vega 12. Once a week, one protein ration quietly vanished from the storage logs, never traced. Never explained. In Aaron's empty quarters, a single Zorani flower bloomed by the window, its petals glowing softly in the dark.